class, let me tell you that we are dealing with the rise of British power and the expansion of British power in India. I have already taught you about the British conquest of Bengal. I have started, we are dealing with the modern Indian history. We have started with the advent, the coming of Europeans into India as traders. I told you that, how the situation was favored for them due to the weaknesses of the Mughal Empire, due to the decline of the Mughal Empire. When they transformed their commercial purpose, they came to India as traders, those Britishers. Then they were transformed by the circumstances which were prevailing in India. They were transformed from the commercial power into the political power. It's how they started to expand. It's how they started to found their political power in India. They started to conquer more and more states in India. Then I told you that how they defeated the various European powers as well, including the French, in the Carnatic Wars. How they conquered Bengal, how they conquered Mysore, how they attacked Sindh as well, how they invaded Punjab as well. So this expansion is what I am dealing, nowadays. Okay, this is the expansion and the rise of British power which I am dealing with. So there were some, in addition to the various attacks and the various policies, various invasions which they undertook in order to conquer more and more states in India, there were various tools or policies which are known as there are various tools of expansion, okay, which they used in order to bring Indian states into their ambit, into their control. So the Britishers devised few tools in order to bring Indian states into their domination, into their direct control. So those tools of expansion they are two in numbers. ऐसे दो tools है. एक tool का नाम जो है वो है Subsidiary Alliance System. क्या है? Subsidiary Alliance System. Subsidiary Alliance System. This is a term which is very important from the examination point of view. Then another tool is Doctrine of Lapse. Doctrine of Lapse. Okay, Doctrine of Lapse. Doctrine of Lapse. Alright. So these tools, these policies, these tools of expansion is what we are going to study in this lecture. Okay. So first we will deal with the Subsidiary Alliance System, then we will deal with the Doctrine of Lapse. If these two policies have a great role to play as far as the British expansion, as far as the rise of British power in India is concerned. बहुत सारे states इंडिया में उन्होंने conquer किए, उन पे कब्जा किया, they invaded them with the help of these two policies, with the help of these two tools. So let's first start with the Subsidiary Alliance System, then we will take another policy which will be known as the Doctrine of Lapse. Okay, so this is the background. See, so there is a name of Lord Wellesly, which is usually associated with the policy of Subsidiary Alliance System. Lord Wellesly, as you know, he was the Governor General of India from 1798 up to 1805. This date यही है ना 1805? Date यही है, yes. 1805 है कि 1806 है? Yes, 1805 ही है. Okay, so this Lord Wellesly was the Governor General of India who devised, who perfected this, who applied this Subsidiary Alliance System vis-a-vis the Indian states. If you want to know about the evolution of this Subsidiary Alliance System, this can be seen in various forms. If you want to know the evolution about this Subsidiary Alliance System, there is a historian who is known by the name of Alfred Lyall. Alfred Lyall is saying that actually there are four stages. There are four stages of this Subsidiary Alliance System. आपका evolution अगर आपको जानना है, so actually there was the first stage First stage of subsidiary alliance system can be seen when the Britishers assisted, or helped, assisted their allies, when the Britishers helped the Indian powers, Indian allies, helped them in their fight against their rivals, against their enemies. तो ये आप इसका जो है, for example, the treaty, once a treaty was signed with the Nizam. In that treaty, Nizam was assisted by the Britishers, in his fight with the opponent. So this can be seen as the first stage, developmental stage, which will take us towards this subsidiary alliance system. Now it is second stage. The second stage of subsidiary alliance system can be seen when the Britishers took the field themselves, when they fought against the Indian powers, and in that fight, the Indian rulers assisted these Britishers, but these Indian rulers and the Britishers, they were making a common cause in that fight. उनका अपना एक इंटरेस्ट था, कॉमन इंटरेस्ट था दोनों का, तब ये लड़ते थे अपोनेंट पार्टी से. So this can be seen as the second stage of this subsidiary alliance system. Then its third stage can be seen when actually Britishers, what they did, they didn't needed the Indian powers, they didn't needed the assistance of Indians. What they wanted these Indians that kindly give us the money, हमें पैसे दे दो, तो by virtue of that money, by virtue of that amount, that will be helpful for us, and we will take on our rivals, we will conquer, we will attack upon our rivals with the support of, with your financial support. क्योंकि उनका इंटरेस्ट भी होता था वहां पे ना, उन इंडियन रूलर्स का, जो उनको फाइनेंशियल सपोर्ट दे रहे थे. Now see, this is the third stage. Now fourth stage is what is known as the subsidiary alliance system. It is the perfect form of the subsidiary alliance system. अब इसमें क्या होता है? Now the time came under this Lord Wellesly, during the times of Lord Wellesly, when the time came that actually we don't need your money now, we don't need your financial support. ऐसा Britishers कहते हैं Indian rulers को. We need a territory. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर ये कोई स्टेट, फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर ये हैदराबाद है ना, तो हैदराबाद अगर रूलर होता है, अगर निजाम होता है, तो इस निजाम को बोलते हैं हमें आपके पैसे नहीं चाहिए, हमें क्या, आप जो है, ये आपकी स्टेट है, इस स्टेट का इतना वाला पोर्शन जो है ये आप हमें दे दो, इतना वाला पोर्शन ये आप हमें दे दो. हम क्या करेंगे, हम यहाँ से जो है रेवेन्यू निकालेंगे, और उस रेवेन्यू हम मैनेज एडमिनिस्ट्रेट खुद करेंगे, हम रेवेन्यू खुद एक्सट्रैक्ट करेंगे, तो हम जो है फिर क्या करेंगे, हम जो है आपको प्रोटेक्ट करेंगे. So this is what is known as a subsidiary alliance system. Subsidiary alliance system is that tool of British expansion in India by which they sought the territory from a particular Indian ruler, and by virtue of that territory from which they were getting the revenue, from which they were getting the finances, जो taxes वगैरह वहां से वो लेते थे, और that revenue or that territory was used by them in order to expand their power in India. This is what is known as the subsidiary alliance system. Okay, this subsidiary, its evolution can be seen in the form of duplex. Duplex एक यहाँ पे मैंने आपको बताया, जब when I was telling you about the, तेज तो नहीं हो रहा है ना ज़्यादा, फास्ट तो नहीं हो रहा है ना, when I was telling you about the Anglo-French wars, the Carnatic wars, वहाँ पे duplex एक बहुत ही powerful general होता है. This duplex had already applied one form or another form of this subsidiary alliance system, but he didn't perfected this system. He didn't perfected it. It was perfected by this person, Lord Wellesly. Lord Wellesly, the powerful Governor General of India, the powerful Governor General who always tried to bring more and more states into the ambit, into the domination of British power. The powerful Governor General who always wanted more and more wars. He was a frank imperialist. He was a frank annexionist. He never hesitated to attack the various Indian powers. He was making one excuse or the other excuse so that he could bring Indian powers into his rule. It was this Lord Wellesly who brought the mighty Mysore, who defeated the mighty Tipu Sultan, and defeated, and later on he was killed. And that is how he brought Mysore under his domination. So this is the Lord Wellesly. Now Lord Wellesly, he himself also known. He is also known by the name of Royal, Bengal Tiger. वो अपने आप को कहता था ना, Bengal Tiger. अगर आपको कभी objective मिलेगा, who used to call himself as a Bengal Tiger, तो Bengal Tiger हम Lord Wellesly को ही कहते हैं. तो he used to speak about himself that I am the Bengal Tiger. No, this is not important. The important is that this subsidiary alliance system, okay, was used as a tool by the Britishers. Okay, write down this definition. The subsidiary alliance system was used as a tool of expansion by the Britishers in India. More and more states were brought into the control of Britishers by the application of this subsidiary alliance system by Lord Wellesly, Marcus Wellesly, the mighty Lord Wellesly, who was a great Governor General, I must say, because he has a great contribution as far as the foundation of British rule in India is concerned. So now see, what are the features of this subsidiary alliance system? I mean, what are the terms and conditions? What are the provisions of this subsidiary alliance system? That is what I am going to tell you here. See, it had the following provisions. It had the following features. Features कहिए, provisions कहिए, या आप terms and conditions कहिए. So this subsidiary alliance system, its first provision was that surrender. The Indian ruler was to surrender their territories. They had to surrender their territories to the Britishers. And from those territories, the revenue will be extracted, and that revenue will be used for the upkeepment of the forces, for the upkeepment of the soldiers, for the upkeepment of the army. आप उसको maintain कैसे करोगे ना, उस आर्मी को? तो उसका पूरा खर्चा जो है वो इंडियन रूलर की, जिस भी रूलर के साथ a typical subsidiary alliance system treaty was signed on these conditions. जब भी कोई साइन, मतलब ये subsidiary alliance system बिल्कुल जैसे मतलब जिस किसी स्टेट के साथ भी साइन की गई, जैसे वो निजाम है, मैसूर है, तो that was signed on these terms and conditions. भाई क्या आपको थोड़ा सा टेरिटरी मुझे देना है, भाई आपको मुझे टेरिटरी देनी है, और वहां से जो है आप क्या करोगे, आप मुझे जो है आप मैं वहां से पैसे निकाल के एक्स्ट्रा रेवेन्यू करके आर्मी जो है उसको अपकीप करूंगा, मेंटेन करूंगा, और वो आर्मी आपको प्रोटेक्ट करेगी अगेंस्ट द rivals, against the internal as well as the external enemies. Okay, so this was an important provision under this treaty. Now you have to surrender. These Indian rulers were made to surrender their sovereignty, their external relationship, sovereignty. Okay, external relation. Now these Indian rulers with which this treaty, subsidiary alliance system, वो मैं आपको अभी कहूँगा कि किस के साथ ये subsidiary alliance system जो है वो sign की गई. So you have to surrender your sovereignty, you have to surrender your external relationship. You cannot keep any kind of relationship with the foreign powers. Foreign, I use the term foreign powers, or as well as the internal powers. Why? Because English during those times were facing the threat from the Napoleon, from the French. So in order to contain, in order to see that Napoleon is not creating any problem for them in India, they threw their protectorate over the Indian powers to check if any kind of if any kind of French influence is going on in the various in the courts of various Indian rulers. So it served, the subsidiary alliance system served the double purpose. One purpose was this purpose: it through the British protectorate over the Indian rulers, by which they brought these Indian states into their control. Secondly, it protected the Britishers from the possible French threat, from the possible threat posed to them by the Napoleon. नेपोलियन राइज अगर आप पढ़ेंगे फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन आफ्टर मार्च, तो वहां पे जो है नेपोलियन का यही टाइम होता है ना। नेपोलियन तो उसका राइज तो 1794 से होता है, फिर नेपोलियन 82 में तो पीक पे होता है 1804 से लेके, फिर उसकी डेथ होती है 1815 में। सो दैट वाज द पीक पीरियड ऑफ नेपोलियन। तो उस चक्कर में जो उसको उस चीज को रोकने के लिए जो है इन्होंने ये सब्सिडियरी अलायंस सिस्टम डिवाइस किया हुआ था। सो इट सरेंडर, यू हैव टू सरेंडर योर सॉवरेनिटी एंड एक्सटर्नल रिलेशनशिप to the care of the company, to the care of the Britishers. This was the second provision of the subsidiary alliance system. Then you don't have to employ any non-Britisher, any European, no European or American will be employed in the court of any Indian ruler. It was its third provision. Then there will be a resident. That resident will represent that resident will be placed at your court, at the court or at the palace of the particular Indian ruler, and that resident will see, that resident will check that this ruler, this regional Raja, whether he's carrying on those policies which are in the interest of the Britishers or not. So this resident is an important feature, and it was this resident, which was a proxy, of the Britishers at the court of this native ruler, at the court of this regional ruler. So this resident provision is also an important provision. Then there was to be a complete non-intervention in the internal affairs of the native Indian state. We will not interfere in your socio-political customs at all. You just carry on with your activities. Okay. Then furthermore, if there was a duty upon the Britishers as well. The Britishers were made the protectors, and Britishers were to ensure that this native ruler is protected from the foreign aggressors, from the foreign from any possible foreign threat. अगर आप external कोई attack होता है तो we will protect you in that situation. So these are the features, are the terms and conditions upon which this British, this subsidiary alliance system was signed with the Indian rulers. Now see, various Indian rulers, the list is very lengthy. So various Indian rulers were brought under the purview of this subsidiary alliance system. They were made to sign this subsidiary alliance system. For example, the first state with which this subsidiary alliance system was signed, it was with the Nizam of Hyderabad. Okay, ये chronologically है. सबसे पहले Nizam, okay, Nizam of Hyderabad. इसके साथ ये treaty जो है sign की गई Nizam of Hyderabad. Then you can write down Mysore के साथ, when the Tipu Sultan was defeated in the old Wudiyar dynasty, was placed on the throne of Mysore, and with that Wudiyar dynasty जिसका ruler Krishna Raj III होता है, तो उसके साथ भी ये treaty of this subsidiary alliance system जो है उस पे ये impose की जाती है. So Mysore will come on second number. Then Tanjore, okay, Tanjore तमिलनाडु के पास एक जगह है. तंजौर पे भी कब्जा किया गया through this subsidiary alliance system. Then Awadh was also one important state. Then पेशवाज के साथ भी, okay, the Marathas जब उनका वो confederacy थी ना वो टूट गई. So this this पेशवाज के साथ भी साइन किया गया, भोसलेस के साथ भी, okay, पेशवाज, भोसलेस, जयपुर, okay, जयपुर राजस्थान वगैरह जो है, जयपुर, जोधपुर, these are few important states which were brought under the influence of Britishers through this subsidiary alliance system. Among the Britishers, if a question comes, so these were among the Marathas, these were the Holkars. Holkars never signed subsidiary alliance system with the Britishers. Holkars continued to resist against this subsidiary alliance system. Now see, this subsidiary alliance system, I have come across a question somewhere that through this subsidiary alliance system, what were the benefits which the Britishers got? Now, what were the advantages for the Britishers in this, through this subsidiary alliance system? The benefits were so great that it brought various states into the rule, into the control of the British authority. Okay, now what the wars cannot do for you, this subsidiary alliance system did for you. What you can achieve through the wars, you achieved that through this policy of peace, without any bloodshed, without any war, without making any battle or war, without making any bloodshed, you were able to bring many states into your direct rule, I must say. There was a provision, the clause of non-intervention, but that resident who was placed at the court of these native rulers, that resident was always intervening in the matters. So much so that these, there was a government of the British proxy, British ही वहाँ पे rule कर रहे थे, although indirectly in theory, but they were somehow directly controlling the affairs in those states. Okay, so as far as the benefits for the British, advantages for the Britishers are concerned, it actually, this subsidiary alliance system, it disarmed the Indian states, and through British protectorate over them. So you are disarmed, so there is no question that you will raise your arms against the Britishers now. So the first important advantage for the Britishers is that it disarmed the Indian states, which took away any possibility on the part of the Indian rulers that they would raise into revolt against the Britishers. Okay, so, and secondly, it enabled the Britishers to maintain a huge army at the cost of the Indian rulers. Okay, so you are having the financial problems, you cannot keep huge army, and through this policy they were able to maintain a huge army as well, and this was the same army which helped the Britishers to put down various revolts, including the revolt of 1857. Okay, see the benefit, then the various strategic places and positions in India were brought into the control of Britishers by the application of this subsidiary alliance system. Okay, it counteracted. It can be the fourth advantage for the Britishers. It counteracted any possibility of French menace, Napoleon threat, जो यहाँ पे loom हो रहा था उस वक्त पे इंडिया पे. There was a possibility of Napoleon or the Russian invasion as well. So there was a possibility of that thing, and that invasion, that threat was counterchecked through the application of this subsidiary alliance system. Then the Indian rulers were made to surrender their relations, surrender their external sovereignty. So this is how this subsidiary alliance system is a notable contribution of this Lord Wellesly, which helped in the British expansion, British power in India. Okay, any confusion regarding this? Then there is again another tool of expansion which was used by the Britishers as far as their expansion in India is concerned. It is a doctrine of lapse. It is a doctrine of lapse. This is a simple term. This is a simple question. There is no need to worry about this. This question. Doctrine of lapse. Doctrine of lapse. जिस गवर्नर जनरल का नाम आप यहाँ पे एसोसिएट करेंगे, that will be the Lord Dalhousie. Okay. So आप simply from the examination point of view इतना याद रखिएगा. It was Lord Dalhousie who was like Lord Wellesly, a frank imperialist, a frank conqueror who always tried to bring more and more states into his direct rule. There is in fact a historian known as Professor Innes. Professor Innes has said that if the predecessors of Lord Dalhousie tried to avoid the annexation of Indian states if they could, this is, I quote, I will try to quote here. This Professor Innes has said about Lord Dalhousie. He said that the predecessors of Lord Dalhousie acted upon this general principle to avoid the Indian annexation, avoid the annexation of Indian states if they could do so. But Lord Dalhousie acted upon this general principle that we have to bring more and more Indian states into the direct annexation, into the direct rule. तो ऐसा कुछ उसकी mentality थी पहले से ही. So this Lord Dalhousie comes up with his own policy that is known as Doctrine of Lapse. Doctrine of Lapse का मतलब ये होता है भाई, if a particular Indian ruler dies, if a particular Indian ruler dies without leaving a legal heir मतलब ये होता है, मतलब आप जो है अगर आपका बच्चा नहीं होता है ना पैदा, तो if you have not a legal successor, if you are not a legal offspring, you cannot make this adopted son or the adopted daughter to be the ruler of the particular state after the death of that ruler. This is a simple definition. ओके, सो जब कोई रूलर मरता था तो अगर उस रूलर के पास या अगर उस रूलर या अगर चाहे वो रूलर लड़की हो या लड़का हो, अगर उस रूलर के पास जो है कोई अपना बच्चा जो उसके अपने गोद का बच्चा नहीं होगा, तो उसका एडॉप्टेड सन जो है who could not be the successor of that state, but he could be, he could succeed उसकी जो प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी, who could succeed his private property, उसकी प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी जो है उस रूलर की जो अब मरता है तो उसकी प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी पे वो कर सकता है रूल. तो मतलब he could become the ruler of his private property, but he cannot claim the गद्दी, he cannot claim the तख्त पे नहीं बैठ सकता है वो. ऐसा हो सकता है ना, मे बी वो बैठ सकता था, but that permission was to be obtained from the Britishers. So it was Lord Dalhousie who made this provision that you could claim the private property of that estate, but you could not claim the gadi of that estate. You have to surrender that gadi to the care of the company, to the care of the Britishers, and it were the Britishers only who were to rule over that estate if you not have any legal here. So इतना आप याद रखिएगा. And about Lord Dalhousie का जब भी mention होगा तो this doctrine of lapse जो है इसका mention जरूर होगा. This doctrine of lapse is something which is always a major contribution as far as the foundation of British rule in India is concerned. In fact, Lord Dalhousie is known for various other things. There will be a separate lecture upon the activities of about the various developmental works of Lord Dalhousie. आप यहाँ पे इतना याद रखिए that Lord Dalhousie applied this doctrine of lapse, in case of various states. अगर आप जो है इस की तरह याद रखना चाहेंगे, so the first state which was brought under the control of Britishers through the application of doctrine of lapse, it was Satara. Okay, it was Satara. Okay, then there was Sambalpur. Satara was the first state which was brought under the British. So there was Sambalpur and Jethpur. They were brought in 1849. आप लिखो ये Sambalpur and Jethpur 1849. Then Bhagat and Udaipur. यहाँ पे थोड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग, Bhagat and Udaipur were brought. Bhagat was made in 1849. This 1852. About these Bhagat and Udaipur states, they were given back. They were given back to the they were given back to the rulers of their states when Lord Canning became the Governor General of British India. So जितना भी याद रखिए, about Bhagat and Udaipur, Lord Canning was the Governor General who gave these two states back to their previous rulers or their offsprings. Okay. Then there is Udaipur as well. Okay, Udaipur was brought into the rule of this Britishers through this doctrine of lapse. Udaipur. Then you have Jhansi. Okay, Jhansi, Nagpur. 84. Okay, Jhansi का थोड़ा आपको यहाँ पे लिखना चाहूँगा. Jhansi 1852. These are all chronologically. You have this Nagpur 1854. झांसी में आपको पता है रानी लक्ष्मीबाई, जो हम रिवोल्ट ऑफ 1857 पढ़ेंगे तब हम इसका जिक्र करेंगे. सो दिस व्हाट आई रोट देयर, सतारा. ओके, नंबर 1 सबसे पहली स्टेट सतारा. उसके बाद दिस भगत. सतारा के बाद क्या, जेतपुर, संबलपुर एंड जेतपुर, राइट. संबलपुर एंड जेतपुर. उसके बाद होता है एक ही साल में संबलपुर एंड जेतपुर. देन भगत, उदयपुर. देन दिस व्हाट, Jhansi, Nagpur and all these states जो आपने लिखी. So these were the states which were brought Various other states are there also, but these are the important states. लिस्ट बहुत बड़ा है, अगर आप इंटरनेट पे देखेंगे so you will get the long list there. वो आपको रखने की जरूरत नहीं है, याद रखने की, because you know you will just आपका दिमाग खराब हो जाएगा वो लिस्ट याद कर करके. आप जो है these important states आप याद रखिए, that will be enough from the examination point of view. Okay, concepts को क्लियर कीजिएगा, don't chase the facts. आप ज्यादा इसको क्लेम करने की कोशिश मत करो, just जो है आप अपने concepts को, अपने आइडियाज को क्लियर करेंगे आप. So about Lord Dalhousie, just remember one thing as well. He, as I told you, that he always tried to conquer more and more states. About him, there is one more important event, that is the annexation of Awadh. Annexation of Awadh, he annexes the Awadh. Annexation of Awadh. Annexation वो अवध होता है जिसपे पहले subsidiary alliance system होता है ना. So subsidiary alliance system में क्या होता था? You don't have to intervene in the internal affairs of that Nawab. Okay. But what you did, Lord Dalhousie annexes this state in 1856. Why? Because he claimed, he alleged that the Nawab of Awadh was indulging in misgovernance. So this Awadh was conquered by Lord Dalhousie on the grounds of misgovernance. Then this annexation of Awadh, the Awadh, a powerful state from which huge army was supplied to the British army, and when this Awadh was annexed in 1857, this somehow created a reaction. That reaction could be seen as a cause for the revolt of 1857. Because why you annexed? ये हम revolt of 1857 में जो है डिटेल में examine करेंगे. So then again this Lord Dalhousie didn't stop here. He also abolished the titles of the Mughal emperors as well. He had, Lord Dalhousie's role in the emergence of revolt of 1857 is important. Lord Dalhousie का जो है causes, as far as the causes of revolt of 1857 is concerned, so the role of Lord Dalhousie is something which you have to mention in your causes. Okay, so he goes on, he annexes Berar as well. Okay, Berar को इसने annex कर दिया. Then he also, as I told you, he abolished the titles. He abolished the titles of Mughal emperor and various other rulers as well. Abolition of titles, like the titles like those of Marathas, जो उनके descendants थे. Marathas तो को पहले ही कब्जा किया था. जो भी उनका टाइटल वगैरह, पेंशन वगैरह, टाइटल वगैरह दिया जाता था, उसको उन्होंने जो है खत्म कर दिया लॉर्ड डालहौसी ने. So it is something how the Britishers expanded in India. I have already told you about the various wars and conquests. So this was through these two policies of Subsidiary Alliance System and Doctrine of Lapse as well, through which they expanded their power in India. So okay, so let's finish it here and move to the next.